Hi, I thought I would do the video on the fives today, and we can just take a look at the minor arcana, all the suits, different artists, and what they have to show. And you know, the fives come in to push us out of that comfort zone and stasis that we were in the fours, like it or not. And boy, they sure have, the fives sure have so many meanings, and seem to be very enigmatic and subjective to whatever the reading is or the other cards around it. But let's start with the fire suit. And here is the Rider-Waite. And you see we're working with, five people here, five opposing forces. All trying to put in their own 2 cents in a way and do what they each feel is right. And it's really giving us a chance to mature and to respect the other people's views and passions, and to work in combination with the other people, so that something can be constructed here. It looks like they're trying to construct something, or erect maybe the pentagram. I like it so much here. Okay, now this is a deck that I just got because a friend of mine recommended to me, and thank you, Fluxus Reno, because this is from the Tildwick Tarot. A really beautiful deck. And he really gets the point across so beautifully here. Now, there are no people in this card and in this whole deck. So, but I have to say the artwork is very subtle, and it might be hard to see, but let's just try. So we're in a room here, and this, it's like, like a big plate here, sort of, and there's an etching here, and it's of two people. They appear to be in struggle with each other. A little bit of a conflict going on. And you'll see the five staves here, or the five wands. Now look here, this is great. So we have a chair, and there are books lined up on the chair. And that really gives the idea of those opposing sort of forces, or opposing egos or ideas that are now lined up and need to be all considered in order to make something work. So it was just done so wonderfully. I love the idea of the books on the chair there, and how important it is for us to, not to just think that our way is the right way, but now we're working with other people and ideas as well. So let's move on to another deck. Oh, it's great in the Anna Kay. It's so really well done. So you'll see a crowd of people, some friends gathering around to watch these two men engage in arm wrestling. And, the guys look very serious, even though it's a game. So it's, combining those two ideas like we saw in the Rider-Waite. It's not a real fight to the death. It's sort of a playful struggle, as we're engaging with other people and their views. And you see the cat there bringing in a little bit of the fire element, and also the idea that it's of a playful element as well. Now, when we look, at the Ludi Lescott, as always, there's a slightly different take. So this person is alone. She's not really dealing with other people in a struggle, but she's in a struggle with herself. You can see the way she's just entwined in that rope. And gives you the idea that the more she struggles and the harder she pulls, the worse it gets for her. And when she's feeling like the person is feeling overwhelmed with their own, struggles and passions, and it's just time to, relax and take a breath and stand away from the situation a little bit to gain a better perspective and an easier perspective, or easier way out of the situation. Really different, completely different in the Alchemical Tarot. And we'll see this here where it's bringing in the idea of fire and energy and creativity. We use our hands to create and for artistry. And this is just showing that creative energy. And it gives me the idea, that to strike while the iron is hot, because, the fire can go out, comes and goes at different times. But it's just such a different take on the fire element and the number 5 than the other decks. So in the Tarot of Dreams here, okay, he always gives the astrology. So it says, Saturn in Leo. That makes perfect sense, right? Because a lot of times when we think of Leo being ruled by the sun, really having sort of the idea of that strong will and that strong ego and force, Saturn coming in there, the teacher, to slow it down a little bit and to teach a lesson about accepting the will and strength of other people as well. You see all that red, that fiery energy in the card here. Okay, and okay, so let's move on to, I guess we'll do the swords. And, there's almost a similarity here with the fives in the air suit. So you'll see here in the Rider-Waite, this is such an interesting card because, you can look at it in a certain situation and just think, wow, which of these three people do I really relate to? The one with the swords, the one walking away, the one crying here, or appears to be in despair anyway. And he just looks like he has a smirk on his face, right? But, as we look at some of the other cards, some understandings start to come through as to, the idea that with the sword suit being a very mental suit, and the idea of combating in a way your own fears. Let's take a look in the Anna Kay. You see a woman, if you can see, she's actually cowering here in fear. She's holding her child, and this guy standing above her. It's a really scary situation here. There's another guy in the back with a sword. His sword is up, and there looks like fire in the back. And it gives me the idea that she is really coming to terms and battling her own worries and fears. A final time, let's get rid of the things that no longer work. Why do you still have, there's no reason to still hold on to the things that keep us from what we need to do. That fear and anxiety, that is definitely one of the things I see in this card. And when we go, in the Ludi Lescott, it's a little different again. So here we see a man very thoughtful and pensive. And to me, it looks like he's just taking his time here to select the sword that will best suit him. And, how can we choose our thoughts and words wisely in a situation that comes up that perhaps is very difficult? Or if we are sort of in battle with someone else, we don't really need to prove our strength. Sometimes, just to, be strong in yourself and to use a little bit of respect for the other person and, just back off a little bit. And you don't always have to be, right there trying to prove yourself, as I said, but be more thoughtful, a little more cautious, a little reserved, and still knowing who you are and being who you are. It's not a matter of acquiescing, but, complimenting, getting along with someone while still maintaining who you are. Let's see in the Ciro Marchetti deck here. Okay, I just want to see that is, Venus in Aquarius there. So Venus does give that idea of softening, so it's actually really perfect. And you'll see the person is holding the swords up. And these four swords are downward. But he's not holding it at someone. It doesn't, give me the idea of war or being a real warrior. But, being more, as I said in the last card, maybe battling with your own fears, but also understanding that there is more than one way to view something. Now, in the alchemical, this is really interesting here. Okay, let's take a look. We have two swords up. They're in good shape. These two swords, they need mending. And this man here is doing the work and actually fixing the sword here. And look what he's got to do to fix it. The sword, he's using heat. He's using fire. And then he's got a mallet, so he will be, actually beating the sword so it can have usage again. Now, in this card, the background is very peaceful. So you know, it isn't, again, it isn't a situation of being a warrior here, but to, you know, through this being an alchemical deck, through the alchemical process, he's using heat, he's using force, you know, to kind of get get the thoughts and get the communications and the strength in order so that it can be smooth. All right, and did I forget any here? Okay, let's move on then. All right, so we'll do the cups, and this is the Rider-Waite. You see, you know, it does just immediately give you a sense of loss and grief here. The person in the black cape, and the cups that are turned here, spilled, and the two that are standing. And, you know, there definitely is a sense of loss and sorrow, and we'll see it. I like how it's done here in the wooden tarot. It's very simple but very clear. You know, they once were trees and now they've been cut. Definitely a sense of loss. So let's look in the Ludi Lescott. Because I like how they did it here. So she is, you can see this woman is grieving and experiencing loss. Of course, the cups are overturned, but in the background you see someone walking. It looks like walking away from her. You know, so perhaps the loss of a loved one, something that you once valued. You know, this card is a loss that you're not ready for. You know, you weren't ready to give that thing or that person or that ideal up. So it's come a little bit, you know, a little severe, if you can feel that way. But at least, you know, in this card, it seems to me that they're allowing the person just to really grieve and take your time with it and grieve as long, you know, grieve for a while and then move on. Whereas with the Rider-Waite, I've heard people say, oh, well, you know, you've only lost 3 and you still have 2. And, you know, when a person is going through something, they kind of don't want to hear that. You know, it's a little Pollyanna. So allowing a person to grieve, allow yourself to grieve through something that, an unexpected loss. But with the 5s, and especially with this card, it's something that needed to go, you know, is what I find. Now, when I'm working with this card or that cycle in life where I know that the endings are coming and losses and endings, I will, I'm very proactive, and I will just go clean out a closet or do something like that and get rid of what I don't need, because it's sending that idea that I'm willing to, you know, part with things that no longer work. So a physical manifestation of that, you know, I do find can be helpful. Okay, in the Alchemical Tarot, you see the vessels here. Now, we have the same idea. We have a couple that are standing. This one is spilled. This one is just about to hit the floor. This one has been broken open. And when it broke open, look, these 2 birds flew out of it and escaped. So, you know, it's showing that this was a necessary loss, because now we have something that's come out of it, a new growth, you know, a way for our life to take a new direction maybe, or like take flight in a certain way. So I do like it very much in this deck. And let's see what else we didn't look at here. Yeah, let's take, this is from the Japaridza. It might be a little hard to see, but there are, see, these are coffins here, you know, death and loss. And then you see a woman here. She's holding flowers. And she has, it looks like she's pregnant. So it kind of reminds me of the one we just saw. Like, you know, something through this loss, you know, something else will be coming. And for her, it's a child. It's really nicely done. And let's see, in the Tower of Dreams, okay, he's got Mars, oh, in Scorpio. So Scorpio, of course, is, you know, associated with the death card, actually. And is you know, at that time of year, you know, where the sun is falling, and, you know, the idea that the, you know, the year is kind of dying as well. So with Mars there, that just adds that bit of severity, actually. So, and the idea that it was swift, not something we expected. And here, and you'll see that she's got These cups are turned over, and these two still have the wine in them. So, yeah, it's hard to say goodbye to certain things or people that we still want, but it's a necessary part of life, and it does help us to move on. So the last suit, is the Pentacles. Boy, I have such a long sort of history with this card, and not uncommon for healers to really deal with the Five of Pentacles type of energy with health issues and things like that. So let's take a look at the Rider-Waite. And, there's a lot going on here. So you see the two people, and they appear to be in the snow here. This seems to be snow. Looks like snow is falling. And then you see the stained glass there, which maybe makes you think that they're outside of a church or some kind of temple or something. Now, I have to be honest, I like that there's snow there because, it makes you think of winter, and winter it's long and it's hard, but it's only a season, and the season will change, and spring will come and life will renew. So thank goodness for that. So now you'll see here, this guy, he's on crutches, and let's see, now that is his right leg. His right leg is up and is not connecting to the ground. So the left brain rules the right side of the body. Okay. So what we're seeing here is that, in a very structured and very functional way, he's not connecting to Earth, in the way that he needs to propel forward, in a way of being really grounded to what it is he's got to go and do. He's not connecting to the Earth element in that way. Now, I want to contrast that to another deck here, to the Alchemical Tarot, where it is the left leg here that is not connecting to Earth. So the left side is ruled by the right side of the body. So in this case, it's as if the unconscious is not connecting to Earth. Your spirit, your higher self, in a way, is lacking in that connection. And when we look at the card here, you could see the person seems really unaware of their surroundings. There's 4 coins, and they each have a representation of the elements. They don't even seem to realize that the coins are there because they have their hand out looking for coins. We have a 5th one here representing the 5th element or spiritual element, and they seem to be unaware of that as well. They're not really able to, at this point, like our head is down, not even able to, find like the faith or the understanding of a spiritual path that will help them through this difficult situation. So interesting, the difference to me of the cards of the right and the left leg there. Okay. Let's see. I like let's see, in the Ludi Lescott, let's take a look at that one. Okay, so we see snow again, but this is different because these people they both to me look very healthy. I mean, just look at the power and strength of his legs. He's strong, he's very grounded, and she's healthy too. So this is not bringing in that idea of ill health or lacking of money. But I can see in person, it's easier to see. He looks very upset, and he's kind of covering himself, and he's walking away from her. He looks upset. He looks to me like he's holding himself in, like he feels maybe shame or embarrassment or something like that. And she looks surprised. She looks to me like she would be open to, helping him and to offer him what he needs, to offer him love, and he's walking away from that. And, when we go through times that are difficult, especially maybe a health problem or something like that, that's an issue. That's just another issue for people to deal with, maybe a person has a hard time leaning on other people, accepting help, or even explaining their problem to someone else. But when we get that Five of Pentacles energy, it's kind of like forcing us or allowing us that opportunity, right, to connect with the community or with a person that will really help us and love us. And it's allowing that person to give and allowing ourselves to receive. And that in itself can be very challenging. So you could see where the fives, even though they're challenges, they're offering something else, a growth and a new, like I said, opportunity for us. Okay, so here, let's look at the Japaridza, because I don't even want to talk. Look at that. Yeah, no words are necessary. You can look at that and feel the despair that's going on in that one, right? Anake is similar. But, you know, here the two people seem to be allowing themselves to help each other. And also, okay, in the Anake and in the Tiro Marchetti, here, you can actually see the full window here, which you couldn't see in the Rider-Waite because it was cut off in the card. But here we see the whole stained glass window. Okay, and you see it here too, in Tiro Marchetti's deck, the whole stained glass window. And I want to bring your attention to that because, well, this is just my take on it, okay? In my mind, well, let's talk about the old churches, right? So we know when we would see the steeple, that's a very phallic symbol. But when you see the arched doorways and windows, that's a symbol of the female. So when I see this here, to me it looks like they're outside of the safety and comfort of the metaphoric womb. Okay? So I think it's significant that that shows there. And Mercury in Taurus is what we have here. Mercury really has to do with how we think and communicate and move, right? And I'm going to ignore that. And Taurus, you know, is the earth element. So how are we actually thinking, moving, and communicating with the earth element and with others through that element as well? Now, this woman she's holding a baby. So it's not only herself that she's concerned for, but she's concerned for her child. And she seems to be asking for money for that child. Again, sort of outside of the comfort and warmth of the womb. You know, there's so much to this card. I really could go on and on. I try not to, but I do want to say that if you're dealing with the Five of Pentacles, you know, say, like, especially if it's a health issue or some other really difficult issue that maybe comes up a lot, is maybe chronic or just something you're stuck in now, sort of temporarily, okay? It's important that you realize that to move through it, but to not let it define you. It can help to teach you, which is wonderful, okay? But when I say define you, I mean, you know, you don't want to stop being who you are or doing the things that you need and really love. So let's just think of some example. You know, I could say my garden, or let's just say you play the guitar, right? And every day, you know, you spend 20 minutes or whatever playing that guitar and learning new songs. And then the difficulty comes, or the health problem comes. And then that guitar sits in the corner. Because, you know, you're just not going to do it because you're focused so much on this problem. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Try to resist that, letting that define you. If that's something that you love and you do every day, go force yourself to do it. You know, take care of that. Because you're still who you are. You're still loved. You're still worthy. You're still, you know, you are still infinite wisdom, you know, just captured in this body, having this experience for the time, regardless of the difficulties you're going through of the fives. So, phew, I know that seemed like a lot. So anyway, have a good month of May, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.